YouTubers, how are ya? I am back, and today I am showing you a guitar which I warned you guys about in my last episode, which is the video where I showed off the ESP LTD Alexi Laiho Signature 600. It was the white body with the black pattern. Anyhow, so couple days after I got that guitar, I loved it so much, I looked into getting something maybe better, because that particular guitar, if you remember, had some blemishes and some issues, even though I got a screaming deal on it. So I looked into it, but I just could not stomach the idea of paying $2,200 for an ESP version of it. Granted, I love the whole black and yellow finish, but you know, $2,200, that's a lot of money. So I couldn't quite do it. But as you know, some of you may know that I have two other Edwards guitar ready. And you know, ESP being one of my very favorite brands, because I'm a child of, you know, metal, and I grew up in the 80s when metal was the thing. And right now, you know, I really think ESP is the head runner in the whole metal guitar, you know, making, even surpassing the stables like BC Rich and Jackson. I never had anything for Schecter, so I don't really consider that to be a nice guitar. And then you know, Dean or what have you, and you know, I like Dean too, but I think ESP is definitely where it is when it comes to metal. You got your Alexi signature, you got your Hetfield, Kirk Hammett. I mean, who's who of metal right now is, you know, wielding an ESP guitar, right? So even having said that, I just could not stomach paying $2,200 for ESP version of this guitar. So I do have a couple of Edwards guitar, like I said earlier. One of them is a Les Paul, and the other is the CTM-165. So it's like a super strat kind of thing, which, you know, there's a video of that guitar in my library. Anyhow, so Edwards, unlike the LTD series, Edwards branded guitars are made by ESP in their Japanese factory where the ESP guitars are made. But the components are sometimes sourced from out of Japan. And what they say is the tone wood, the base wood, may be slightly lesser quality. But, you know, there's nobody to really confirm or deny that. Anyhow, you know, based on all the Edwards guitars that I have come to see in person, I tell you what, I don't care what anybody says, the quality is absolutely on par with the Japanese-made ESP guitars. And, you know, that's another reason why all these artists who have the signature series through ESP, they also allow them to put out the signature series guitars through Edwards as well. So Edwards branded guitar by ESP, generally consumption for Japanese market only. Recently, apparently, they also went out to some other Asian countries, including Russia. So definitely the rarity of the guitar is, you know, there for people like me living in North America, because, you know, you can't walk into a guitar store and pick one of these up. So then now leads me to the next point that I wanted to make. A lot of people are, you know, feel iffy about ordering guitars online through Japan, because, you know, the guitar has to ship overseas from Japan, and, you know, when you're giving the guy, you know, thousands of your hard-earned dollars for a guitar, you know, you want the guy to be ethical, respectful, and, you know, hopefully the guitar comes in one piece instead of something broken off. So two of my latest Edwards, including this guy, I got it from a gentleman named Jim Porter. He's an American guy living in Japan, so there's no language barrier there. And he goes by the name of Mr. Sparkle. Again, I mentioned his name on my previous video as well, where I was talking about an Edwards guitar. So Jim takes the order, and he takes pride in how the guitar is sent, right? I mean, it's a global economy nowadays, so with the eBay protection and PayPal protection, Jim adamantly, you know, says, you know, there's nothing to worry about. You know, your purchase is, you know, backed by, you know, buyer assurance. So he also wanted me to relay that message to you guys. But anyhow, you absolutely do not need to feel, you do not need to have any concern about how your guitar is going to ship. This particular guitar not only came in the ESP gig bag very well padded, Jim must have wiped out the entire supply of bubble wrap in the whole country of Japan, because this thing was wrapped about 7 times with a very thick bubble wrap, and then, as if that was not enough, he triple packed with cardboard boxes. So by the time this thing arrived, I mean, nuclear bomb couldn't have hurt this. So I was very stoked about getting the guitar in such an awesome shape. Thank you, Jim, and I'll be buying some more guitars from you again in the future. So anyhow, here's the ESP Edwards Alexi. I believe the model number is 166 based on this finish, because they also put out the black shiny body with the this part right here just solidly black, because this is kind of a matte dark gray with the black pinstriping. And then they also have a white body with the different pinstriping. So all those get different model numbers, which I can't keep track of. But as far as the appearance is concerned, this guitar is basically your, if you're familiar with the Alexi guitar, this is basically, it's all the specs of his ESP guitar is here. I paid half of what an ESP would have cost and got me this guitar, which is put together just like an ESP. So let's see. Some of the pictures you've already seen, but you got your Goto tuners right here. Produced by ESP. Edwards headstock. Unfinished shaved neck, maple, 3-piece neck. Very solid, right? And it appears my 2 outer pieces are quarter sawn maple. And you got your ebony fingerboard. Frets are nicely done. Nicely done. And then I believe the inlay and the neck binding are supposed to be same material. So you got your sawtooth inlay, and I love how the neck joint is done by ESP when they do the shaved neck thing. If you look on the back of the guitar, you got your pinstriping also takes place on the back. You got your Bodum Hate Crew logo embossed here, which is hot. And then here's your battery compartment. Notice how nicely done that is. I just push right here and then it just rotates over the 9-volt battery. So that's awesome. No back plate. There's not even a screw hole here. So it's meant to not have the back plate there. And on the front, you got your original Floyd Rose. Actually, I don't even know if the camera is capturing what I'm pointing at because I'm standing in front of it. But you got your original Floyd gunmetal, nickel, black metal finish, whatever that is. And this particular unit, just like one of his ESP models, come with the Seymour Duncan blackout in the bridge. And just as you saw in the pictures, I hope this comes through, 20th through the 24th frets are scalloped. Awesome, right? And compared to the LTD that I have, your cutout here is much larger, just like the ESP version. The LTDs, the cutout begins at the 19th fret. However, the ESP model, as well as the Edwards, start to cut out at the 21st fret, and it's much larger. And, obviously that's to allow easier access to the higher fretboard, higher frets, which obviously, is nothing that I'm nothing that I would ever need. And then there's a MM04 preamp toggle on and off. So there you go. That's pretty much the spec of this particular guitar. And I just want to stress, I paid half of what an ESP would have cost and essentially got me an ESP. It's exactly the same thing. So construction-wise, spot on. One of the better made guitars in my opinion that I have come across, and fit and finish is just stellar. And I purposely got the one that was outfitted with the Duncan blackout because the LTD version that I have, the EMG HZ in it currently. What I forgot to tell you guys on my last video, I'm gonna rip that out and put 81 or 81X in it. I actually have the pickup and I try to change the pickup out, but the output cable that comes with the 81 isn't long enough to reach the input jack. So I'm gonna have to get me a longer cable before I can do that. So anyhow, that's the reason why I got this one done in Duncan Blackout. And you know, tonal difference is obviously there. I'm not gonna say one is better than the other, but this has a little bit more guttural response. And with the boost, just as you have seen in the picture, there are dip switches on the back in the cavity where you can control the amount of boost that you can get, right? And I believe it goes up to 18. Even though it's marketed as 20 dB boost, the manual shows that it's only 18. Goes up to 18. So anyhow, but you know, it's a higher output, it's a screaming, you know, screaming pickup. So just awesome. And what else is there to talk about? I think that about it, man. You know, anybody who wants to ask me a question about, you know, how the guitar plays and, you know, what have you, I'll also put Jim, Mr. Sparkle's link, eBay store link in my video description. So anyone who wants to venture into getting one shipped over here, you know, definitely go for it. I believe the guitar is, you know, fairly priced. I'm not gonna say that it's a cheap guitar, but I believe as far as bang for the buck is concerned, when you talk about the raw material that's used, fit and finish and craftsmanship, I think this is Edwards branded guitar, one of the better buys, and doesn't hurt the fact that I'm a COB fan, so I ended up getting another one of these, and I'm absolutely stoked. Most of you who are familiar with my stuff, you know, I love the whole naked maple neck here. So a couple of the guys, I want to give a shout out to Thomas and Justice for All. This is not the same ESP SP like you have. Yours is much nicer than this guy, but you know what? Congratulations on that SV, and I love this thing just as much. And then EB28, good shout out to you, one of the first guys that always watched my video. You know, it baffles me, right? I just don't understand how so many people come to see my videos. You know, it's not like I'm a, you know, guitar virtuoso, far from it. And you know, I'm just sitting here talking about gear, and you know, hundreds of you tune in every time I put out a video. You know, it makes me feel good because it helps me understand that I'm not talking into the void out there, into the vacuum. So that much appreciated, everybody who tunes in. So there you go. That's pretty much it for this particular guitar. But next episode, I have, boy, yet another signature guitar. I look like a signature guitar bigot, but boy, this one I had to get, and I actually have it, and I'm gonna cut a video for that within the next couple of days, and it'll complement a guitar that I already own. It completes a set as well. So super stoked about that as well, and hopefully I'll see you guys within a week again with another video. So until next time, take care.